Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This December 20th, 2022 meeting of the Lake Oswego City Council is now called to order. Ms. Linder, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Buck.
Here.
Councilors Winland.
Here.
Wynn.
Here.
Burdick.
Here.
And Councilor Mans is joining us on Zoom, and Councilor Mbu.
Here. Thank you. Now, everyone, will you please stand, remove your hats, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are going to begin tonight with the awards of our 2022 Unsung Heroes. Welcome. So we're ending this year highlighting one of the most positive annual events associated with our community, the recognition of selfless service through the Unsung Hero Award. This year we celebrate 21 years of recognizing community members for their impactful volunteer efforts, largely conducted behind the scenes in Lake Oswego. Each year, we invite the community to nominate an individual or a group who goes above and beyond in serving our community. These are the people that help make Lake Oswego such a wonderful place to be. Over the years, the city has recognized 80 outstanding volunteers, and this year we are excited to recognize another group of outstanding community members. We're pleased to welcome as our guests of honor the 2022 Unsung Heroes joining us for this special ceremony this afternoon. When we called to invite this year's Unsung Heroes to this meeting, the recipients proved to be a modest group, somewhat reluctant to step into the spotlight. We're honored to have them join us this afternoon. Their responses underscore the fact that to these people, their contributions and their involvement are second nature, and they have no expectation for reward or recognition. They are helping others out of the goodness of their heart, because it's the right thing to do. All the nominees have made a variety of contributions, and all are extremely deserving of the award, with individuals and groups making contributions of volunteerism in all aspects throughout the community. Without further ado, I am pleased to now announce the recipients of the 2022 Unsung Hero Award. And as I say your name, please come forward. We're going to start with Carolyn Glad. Carolyn. Carolyn brings her love and passion for our great city as an active volunteer with the Oswego Heritage House. Carolyn's charming and quiet demeanor has provided behind-the-scenes efforts to advance the preservation of Lake Oswego's historical record. Those who nominated her said, and I quote, "Service to the community is unparalleled in its lasting value to our history." And Caroline is always the first to volunteer. She gives unselfishly of herself and her time in everything she does. Caroline has generated extensive, in-depth, original research and has brought lasting value to our city's history with her numerous hours of volunteerism on a weekly basis. As a community, we are fortunate to have a volunteer like Caroline to preserve our history for the generations to come. Congratulations. Thank you. That's very nice. Wonderful. Next, we are recognizing the Adopt-A-Plot at Lusher Farm, and representing them is Beth Carr. Beth, please come forward. The Adopt-A-Plot program is made up of about 35 volunteers who each tend to a plot of land at Lusher Farm and then donate the full harvest to community members in need. For this growing season alone, the plotters contributed over 2,000 hours of time. In addition to contributing the produce to community members in need, the Adopt-A-Plot program benefits educational programs for great learning and outdoor classroom experiences for youth and adults. Beth herself has volunteered with the program for over 7 years. It is the passion of volunteers like Beth that have helped this program grow, harvest, and donate over 800 pounds of fresh produce this year alone. And the fresh produce is then enjoyed by our local food pantry, Hunger Fighters, and participants of the Lake Oswego Meals on Wheels program. Folks experiencing food insecurity benefit greatly from the fresh produce provided through this program. So Beth, thank you for accepting it on behalf of the Adopt a Plot program and for your continued passion and service. Thank you very much. Thank you. Gretchen Mullane. Gretchen, please come forward. Gretchen has, since 2006, Gretchen has been a dedicated volunteer of the public library. Eloquently stated by our Lake Oswego Public Library team, quote, "Staff can't stifle happy trills when Gretchen Mullane walks through the doors." Her volunteer hours have been tallied at 1,027 hours, and that's just since 2017. Doesn't include the many hours that Gretchen spent in the children's library since 2006. With her skill set being far and wide, deep and high, she's known for being warm and approachable with a smile and gentle laugh that contributes to the welcoming atmosphere of the children's library. From preparing gift bags for the youngest library users, the babies, to registering readers for the Summer Library Challenge, Gretchen has been a source of positive community connection to many youth for an entire generation now. Thank you, Gretchen, for your years and thousands of hours you have given to our community. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Folks, come on forward. Next, we are recognizing the Lake Oswego High School Tech Support Club, and we have Michael Zhang, Jack Tracy, and Riley O'Mara to accept this award. This is a fairly new club of about a year and a half, but it's made an impression on our older community, forming cross-generational opportunities. These folks started small with 4 students volunteering weekly on Sunday afternoons with the residents of the Stafford retirement community to address their tech support needs. The group has now grown to over 20 members, with residents emitting gratitude and appreciation about the wonderful support received and the support being delivered with genuine care, patience, and understanding. Here are a couple of excerpts of what residents expressed about their tech time with this group. Marilyn said, "Genuinely kind, patient, and make sure to listen if we seniors understand. I'm so grateful for their service." And Ann said, "These students have so much patience and understanding for us older folks. They are geniuses with such nice attitudes, and every time I get the help I need, even my watch." As said by Michael, tech time at the Stafford not only helps seniors implementing technology into their lives, but it also brings the 2 generations together through small talk that takes place during loading screens or app updates. This group of students is proving that they are a generation making a difference not only with tech support, but also relational skills and values. So thank you to Michael, Jack, and Riley for accepting this award on behalf of the 20+ members of the Lake Oswego High School Tech Support Club. Congratulations. Congratulations, Michael. Congratulations. Everyone, please join me in giving another big round of applause to this year's winner for all their dedicated work and volunteers. Give me one more, guys. Hi, Councilor Mans. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mayor Bosch.
So tonight we have the opportunity to reflect on and honor with gratitude and appreciation two of our colleagues whose time on the City Council comes to an end tonight. These are bittersweet moments for all of us. We find ourselves together on this body, sharing years of memories, challenges, and successes, all while forming genuine relationships that go well beyond the city business we're here to conduct. I think that we all hope the same is true for many of our neighbors coming together daily to do incredible community work that ends up, in turn, making so many more lasting connections, forming new bonds, increased understanding, and an immense amount of love for one another. And that is certainly the case here. We know that we're here temporarily to make a positive impact, but clearly what we experience together goes beyond these walls and the years that we're together. So as we bid farewell to the formal aspect of the council relationships with Councilor Mans and Councilor Nguyen, we do so knowing that the impact they've had on the city will forever be felt, and the bonds we have here continue for all time to come. So Councilor Mans first ran for the council in 2014 after serving on the budget committee. We had not met one another prior to that time, and I remember thinking, what kind of a marketing person is this with her listen, lead, learn, tagline? Did she pull that off her morning coffee cup? But we all quickly learned that Jackie was certainly not defined by a fluffy campaign slogan. She is a strategic and inspirational leader. She'll talk to anyone, anytime, except in the mornings, nothing before 9 a.m., 10 a.m. if you really want to get on her good side. And she taught me and many others the power of incremental progress, bringing naysayers along one at a time. Compared to today's world where we cannot seem to spend pedestrian safety dollars fast enough to satisfy the community desire, Jackie first came on board at a time when people were literally counting pedestrians to demonstrate what a foolish use of resources these improvements would be. Yet Jackie persisted. She engaged everyone, and she accepted less than what she wanted, and she moved the community forward from a few $100,000 to the millions per year now being invested in keeping residents safe and making the city more accessible. Jackie came from neighborhood leadership and has been a huge proponent for Hallinan, securing the purchase of Hallinan Woods, a stop sign on Cornell, and never letting anyone forget Bickner Street, ever. We learned a new vocabulary through Jackie's neighborhood: party line sewer, legal lots of record, ministerial lot line adjustment. But no matter the words, Jackie understood the context and advocated strongly for her neighbors and all neighbors at every turn. She's been a staunch advocate for the creation of the DEI Advisory Board and the city's initiatives to create a community more inclusive to all residents. She advocated for the youth voice and for women at all levels of leadership. She was a leader on the Lake Oswego Tigard Water Partnership for many years as that critical project worked its way through nearly every street of LO and remained a member of the oversight body with our city partner Tigard through this year. She's been a proponent for the city's climate action plan. And even though she believes the parking spaces for green vehicles in the main lot mean that she can park her green-colored car in front of the building, Jackie has been a champion of environmental initiatives, including the natural area habitat management work we're considering tonight. And in truth, Jackie deserves the princess parking because she's been our queen. Not one to shy away from the spotlight, but one who you'll always find working well out of its range, quietly, methodically, effectively. She loves her two kids, now grown, and I know their stories strongly impacted how she so well served our city. She also wins the award for Best Council Spouse, because if anyone else can come here and be as cool as Christian Mans, I will give you John Winland's bougie holiday sports jacket. Sorry, John. Jackie and I are probably the only two counselors to ever make it backstage at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville while on official duty, out of sheer hubris, thinking we were at a National League of Cities caucus gathering. We marched through the back door, right past security, and when they said, "Wait, who do you think you are?" we said, "We're Lake Oswego City Councilors." And right then, the 6', 5" country music star Trace Adkins walked right past us to his dressing room, and we quickly learned that we were not, in fact, at the League's LGBTQ caucus meeting. Jackie, Lake Oswego is a better city for your leadership, creativity, and hard work, and we're all a better group of council members for having served with you over all these many years. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You want to say anything?
I'd like to just say a couple of words because I know the weight of the agenda tonight. First of all, Mayor Buck, I am delighted to have served with you. I am delighted to have served with every councilor and mayor that I have served with over these past 8 years. I have not worked with such a collaborative group of people as we have in Lake Oswego. We sometimes get a reputation around the city or around even the region as being a little hoity-toity, but truly collaborative, helpful, working for the citizens of Lake Oswego to make things right every single time. And I have to say, it must be said that this would not happen without our most amazing staff. We could not do the work that we do. I could not have made Pathways and Trails a thing, if you will, and pedestrian safety without a remarkable staff all the way through the line. And I have had the pleasure of probably at one point in time working with most of the staff in one capacity or another, or at least going to them and bothering them for some sort of trivial information that they don't have at their fingertips. As far as our community is concerned, I truly love Lake Oswego. I truly support our sense of community, our sense of coming together when people are suffering or when people feel left out of any type of community. I think we can do amazing things with our goodness, with our collaboration, with our ability to work together, all of us. In these fragile times in government, I could not be more honored to have served in this community. And lastly, I want to thank my family and close friends who listened to me talk about pipes, pathways. I didn't really tell anyone about the Grand Ole Opry, Mayor, but that may be a good story to roll out soon. And all kinds of arcane things that I learned being on the city council. So my heart to all of you, my heart to everyone in the audience, my heart to my community, and I guarantee I will stay involved in one way, shape, form, or another. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I know. You're in person, so yeah.
You showed up, selling tomatoes.
Now, our two outgoing councilors have different approaches, but both share one distinction, a background in hospitality. And you always know when you're in a group with hospitality people because they ask, can I get you anything else? While also being able, in the kindest voice imaginable, to tell you, oh, you know the owner? Well, I'm on the city council. Councilor Wynn came onto the council in 2018. In his first political race ever, he not only won, but he won big, capturing the most votes by far to earn an indelible place in our city's history as the first person of color to serve on the city council. Daniel brought forward an important voice and a new perspective. Drawing from his own personal experience, he spearheaded a council goal to improve the city's procurement practices to ensure women and minority-owned businesses were receiving an opportunity to compete for city contracts. As the second best restaurateur on the council, Daniel uses his experience to ensure other small businesses were given opportunities to grow through city-generated opportunities. I admire Daniel for many reasons, but notably for how he consistently and without exception used his voice and his position to stand up for those most on the margins at every turn. His values shine through in how he weighs decisions, and his passion for serving those least fortunate are evident not only in how he frames policy, but in his day-to-day actions. Daniel moves towards the future with his roots firmly planted. He comes from a hardworking family who we know are proud of the way he's taken the lessons they taught him growing up in a family restaurant and translating them not only into an incredible local business enterprise, but to local and now state elected leadership that will positively impact the lives of many. You don't grow a business like he has with his wife, Catherine, without being a little busy. So Daniel earned a slight reputation for perhaps not making it to every advisory board meeting. But we solved that problem, and many people may be shocked, his colleagues especially, shocked to learn that Daniel is now the only council member with perfect attendance on an advisory board. They're going to fall out of their chairs. That's right. The Tourism Advisory Board, perfect attendance. The Tourism Advisory Board did not hold one meeting during Daniel's term as its liaison. Congratulations. Daniel is a hands-on problem solver. During the ice storms, organizations needed food for homeless folks displaced from services. Within hours, Daniel was driving around in the ice, putting food together to serve hundreds of homeless folks moved to locations around the metro area. Daniel serves a certain portion of his life in the public spotlight for sure, but this is just one example of the many of the work that Daniel does behind the scenes to put his talents to use, helping those least fortunate. When people couldn't quite get their act together to put on our first AAPI Heritage event, Daniel made phone calls, he put together the entertainment, organized speakers, and nearly single-handedly created what became our most popular city cultural event to date. Now, through its second year, it is a community tradition that will live on, and we owe Daniel a great deal of thanks in not just bringing it forward, but lifting it off the ground. Every city councilor approaches the job in a different way. Daniel has been a behind-the-scenes, hands-on ambassador of our community who, like a great small business owner, sees no hat he will not wear, nor task that is too small for him to accomplish. As Daniel moves to represent us in the legislature, we know our state is blessed to now have his fortitude, the way he weaves his political know-how and strong moral compass into policy that will serve every member of our community well. And of course, his greatest skill, multitasking. After all, have you ever seen someone simultaneously design a grocery store while hearing an appeal on a garage remodel? Did anyone see that? Okay, good, no one saw. Oh, good, we're in the clear. You save the antics for Salem. We like to keep it clean here. Daniel, thank you for the very personal way that you worked to create a stronger sense of belonging for many residents of LO. You leave a strong legacy of hands-on leadership that touched corners of our community with representation not before felt in the same way, and it's helped create a path for those that will follow. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay, here we go. You asked me if I prepared any remarks for today, and I said no, I didn't have anything prepared, but I do want to say it is an amazing honor just to stand before all of you today and to look back on the past 4 years and be able to serve this community. It is such a humbling experience. And I'm, again, just thankful for all of your support and for all of your love and your kindness in helping the newbie counselor when I was just elected in 2018. I recognized that at the time I was a lot to learn, but through that and also through the pandemic, I think we've all grown in a lot of ways. And so again, it is such a tremendous honor to have served our community here, and I continue that work into the state legislature. And I appreciate all of your kind words and your support in all of your ways. And again, I don't deserve all this praise, and I have to make a correction. I did not single-handedly put on that AAPI event. It was not my doing. It was really cooperation for our staff. Again, as has been said many times before, our city cannot function without the wonderful staff that we have supporting all the things we want to do. We may come with the ideas, but the execution is in our staff, in our wonderful team that we have. Again, so that correction is not. I did not do that single-handedly. So. Thank you so much.
Okay. We're going to just take a brief recess here. No. Okay, we are back in order. Thanks for your patience, folks. Just wanted to let people file out. Okay, we are now going to move to public comment. If you are here for public comment and have not already done so, if you'd like to give a comment, fill out one of these white forms on the back table, and please hand it to Ms. Linder. When it is your turn, we'll call you forward. You'll have 3 minutes to deliver the comment. We have a little time tracker with the 3 bubbles on top there, and if you could please just keep track of where you're at and stop when the time is up, that would be fantastic. We are glad that you are all here. Okay, the first up is Shelley Lorenzen. Come on down. Hi. Make yourself comfortable.
Hi, I'm Shelley Lorenzen. I'm the Vice Chair of the Lake Oswego Community Rowing Foundation, and I'm just here to say thank you. It's on your agenda today. Thank you for considering and hopefully approving a new contract between LOCR and the City of Lake Oswego with respect to the boathouse. So we do appreciate it. We look forward to continuing to offer the amazing sport of rowing to all of the community. We have rowers that range from middle school to octogenarians, so it's a lifelong sport and a real asset to the community, I think. And we'd like to invite you to come down and ride in a launch with us and see rowers in action. So thank you so much.
That would be great. Thank you, Ms. Lorenzen. Jan Sturdivant. Good afternoon.
Whoops, we have a popular row. She and I were sitting in the same place.
Oh, yes. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to talk again about one of the popular and perhaps a positive and negative way of pickleball at George Rogers. And so in 1 month, you will be making a decision that impacts hundreds of people that are from Lake Oswego. At the July 5th meeting, I had asked you to please do a study, see the effect of the $70,000+ that you did in installing the acoustic fencing. The studies that were done were pre, and then the second study was with 4 panels incorrectly installed. We did correct that to you did correct that with 3 panels, but no study's been done with that new situation. So one of you had asked at one of the recent meetings, let's get data, let's get some information, let's try to move away from emotion and get some data. I would ask again that you consider doing a sound study with the current situation. I've approached Park and Rec before and during the time I was on the task force, and they did not feel that you had charged them to do that. So I am asking you to please consider that they would be tasked with doing that, and hopefully from a sound study organization that had experience with pickleball. The 2 that were done did not. I would hope that you would reconsider asking those who play pickleball to play in other towns. We are proud of being Lake Oswegans. We would like to feel that you supported one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing sport in the United States. The survey that was done with the task force, over 500 people responded. And one of the questions was, did it impact your well-being, your quality of life? Out of a max score of 5, 4.2 is what the score was. There are a lot of people in this community that are mentally happier and in better physical shape. So I'm asking you to do 2 things. One is, please ask Parks and Rec to do a sound study before you make this decision. You have 1 month. If you feel you can't do it because of the weather, I can understand that. I would ask then that you listen to the videos that were given to you that show in the middle of the court, a block away, and think about keeping this gem that Lake Oswego has.
Thank you, Ms. Sturdivant. Okay, Lisa Strader. Hi, Ms. Strader.
I guess not. It's right where it's supposed to be.
That's good.
Good afternoon, Mayor Buck, councilors, and staff. I'm Lisa Strader. I'm a member of the city's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, DEI, Advisory Committee, and a past member of the DEI Task Force. Professionally, I am currently the Portland Bureau of Transportation's ADA Coordinator. I've been there for 3 years. Prior to that, I was the ADA Program Manager and the ADA Planning Manager for the Oregon Department of Transportation for a total of 4 years. I'm here today to speak in support of the ADA Title II Transition Plan, which will be on your agenda later. My remarks are made as a representative of the city's DEI Advisory Committee and are informed by my professional advocacy for and working with community members with disabilities. I want to be clear that I do not identify as a person with a disability. My knowledge on the subject is from education, training, and lots of community member learning. The ADA defines a disability as a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. The Center for Disease Control, the CDC, identifies that 26.1% of Oregonians have a disability. That's more than 1 in 4 individuals. With the city of Lake Oswego's population at about 40,000, that means about 10,000 of our community members have a disability. To many people, disabilities look like someone using a cane, a wheelchair, or a guide dog. But disabilities also look like chronic diseases, brain injuries, dyslexia, allergies, and depression. Disability is the only diversity category that any of us can join at any time, temporarily or permanently. In the last 3 years, I've broken a foot, a leg, and injured my knee, putting me in casts, medical boots, and on crutches for several months. As a temporarily disabled person, the absence of access at times glaring on sidewalks, at building entrances, in buildings, and sitting at tables in meetings or restaurants. The transition plan is both about physical access and programmatic access. The work to implement it will include changes to sidewalks, parks, and buildings. It will also include evaluating policies that the city has that may discriminate against people with disabilities. The plan before you is thoughtful and thorough, informed by evaluation and community input. Along with other recognitions today of staff, I want to recognize Kelly Bird, Lake Oswego's ADA coordinator, for preparing this commitment to accessibility for the city of Lake Oswego. Having a transition plan and adopting it are important steps to meeting the requirements of the ADA. The DEI committee encourages City Council to adopt the presented plan. The DEI committee also recommends that city staff annually request and City Council annually approve dedicated budget for implementing the plan, including infrastructure improvements, staff training, policy redevelopment, document and meeting access. Without dedicated annual funding for implementation, an adopted ADA transition plan won't meaningfully advance access to Lake Oswego community members and visitors with disabilities. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Strader. We appreciate you being here. Thanks for relaying the message. Nancy Kirk. Kirk? No? No? Okay. Oh. Mike Buck, my father. Come on down.
Good afternoon. I'm coming to you tonight, or this afternoon, as a steward and a friend in regards to Resolution 2232 and the Natural Areas Habitat Management Plan from nature's perspective could be subtitled, I Need Your Help. The plan comes to us through responsive city management and park personnel and you council members who directed these significant steps. Thank you. Anyone with the faintest perception of ecological integrity realizes this plan emanates out of the precariousness and vulnerability of our habitat spaces, calling for our communal response. The crafted framework of this plan before you is based on what has been observed or configured from experience and statistics. That is visible. What is invisible is the passion by many behind it who witness the daily contests between native plants and their invasive threats, which sometimes include human behaviors. And these human behaviors often add suffering to the dilemma. I'm sure Megan Big John, in her wondrous spirited fashion, will say we have turned a corner on restoration in the last 11 years. I share this viewpoint. Yet a plan is not implementation, and many plans have been consigned to dark shelves. The question we must ask is, how can this conception of ecological health happen with you? Can it succeed without you? Any hope coming before City Council enters a political realm. It is placed in a concrete history with you on behalf of our community. It must live in vital places like heart, your heart, and in the dirt under our stewardship fingernails. Stewardship is like parenting. In that endeavor, you have to be close enough to embrace. And so what I'd like to say is, the essence is relationships. And we've got people like Megan, like Caleb, and like Eric, Sarah and Doug, or the Parks Board. All these people have come together to help form these new plans for the state of the urban forest. What we need is a community and an ecological conversion in our community to really make it work. The Lake Oswego Watershed Council, in alignment with many partners, will be sending goals to you for ongoing alignment with natural resource restoration. May your care, already so evident, activate our community's dynamic of goodwill and promote public virtues of volunteerism, sustainability, and ecological integrity. And thank you.
Thank you for being here. It's great. Chip Corbett. Good afternoon.
Which mic do you want me on?
Please. Oh, what's that?
Which doesn't
No, it
matter.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Please, yeah, make
All
yourself
righty.
known.
Well, I'll take the right-hand side mic. My name is Chip Corbett. I'm a resident of Lake Oswego. I live up the hill that way. And so, Mayor Buck, councilors, other staff, thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. I'm here on behalf of Bill Erickson's Automotive Repair Shop. And I am concerned about the current plans for the proposed City of Lake Oswego development of a replacement water treatment plant. We have a perfectly decent plant in a nice location now. I've actually toured the entire periphery of that facility, which is large, and I've taken a look at some of the elevations. It's not radically further downhill. Now, my wife and I, we use Erickson's Automotive mostly for her 2000 Jeep Wrangler, and he does a great job on that thing. We would be hard-pressed to find somewhere else where we could get that kind of service done. Now, his staff's been very helpful, and it's nifty that, on a bad day, we could roll that Jeep right into his garage from our house. So, the fact that we have an industrial section in Lake Oswego, I believe, helps to keep the community grounded. These kinds of businesses are essential in a vital community like Lake Oswego. I've got several concerns about the current proposal. I'm just going to outline a few of those. Yes, everybody likes clean water, and we like treated effluent discharge. That's important. And I am not at all convinced that removing the city of Portland from that effort would be advantageous. Cybersecurity was not mentioned in any of the plans that I saw, and this will be a big issue in the future. Moving from a larger area to a smaller area seems counterintuitive. I don't know why we would do that if we're trying to service more households. And as far as I can see, we haven't had any flooding events in the current location in the past 50 years. Finally, the suggestion that a small private business should be acquired by eminent domain is a touchy subject. But it begins to smack of impropriety when paired with the suggestion that the current wastewater treatment facility would be sold off for private property development. This begins to look like a giant handout to the developers. If we need an upgraded water treatment plant, I would prefer to retain the current location and make whatever modifications are necessary there. Thank you very much for taking my comments.
Thank you, sir. I know you wrote us these exact same comments in email. We responded that way, so you should look at those emails because they address your concerns.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Shoemaker. afternoon.
Afternoon, council, staff. I was a little late in getting my submission in. I tried to send it at 3:05 or something like that. I had this meeting later than it actually was. My name's Eric Shoemaker. I'm a property and business owner here in Lake Oswego. I've been active in Lake Oswego real estate for about 15 years. Those that don't know me, I was involved in the Zupan Shopping Center in Lake Grove. And we own a small building at 415 North State, which is the brick building just to the left of the building that Nola Donuts is in. I'm just going to go ahead and read my public comment. Dear Council, we own 415 North State Street and have actively followed the planning and progress of the Lake Oswego Wastewater Treatment Plant, the WWTP, from its inception. Notwithstanding the specific business before Council tonight, as we approach yet another contractual threshold with EPCOR, we offer the following big picture observations in furtherance of constructive dialogue and hopefully procedural recalibration. Heading 1, visual impact. The roughly 30-acre northern portion of the Foothills District presents a singular opportunity to accomplish many long-standing community goals. Such potential was recognized and detailed in the 2012 Foothills District Framework Plan as adopted by this council. Setting aside the more divisive elements of that plan, like the light rail, the success of this district is entirely dependent on the success of the WWTP. During the spring and summer of 2001, we engaged both council and staff on the importance of the WWTP design. Our goal was to elevate the role that good design must play with both softening the presence of this significant infrastructure and thereafter attracting, as a result, further private and public investment to the district. Now, as then, we have serious concerns. To be blunt, the current design looks like a slightly upmarket version of a small town facility buried somewhere deep in the Alberta tar sands. It does not look like a best-in-class facility for a city like Lake Oswego. How are we this far in the process with a design that is so wholly inconsistent with the attention to detail and quality that are hallmarks of our built environment? Yes, the footprint may be smaller and the technology may be better, but the actual design is a failure. While we need not pursue any architectural awards, the new facility must employ better materiality, massing, and landscape so as to appropriately disappear within the selected site. Portland's Columbia Boulevard facility is a good example, a local example of successful design, and is notably adjacent to much less valuable real estate. 90% of this exercise is about delivering affordable, reliable, and sustainable wastewater treatment, but the 10% that's about design really matters. Second heading, financial impact, timing, and reasonable alternatives. Beyond design, as we stare at rapidly ballooning costs with no firm all-in number in sight, we are also left asking why now at this cost. Having already blown the affordability cap by a mere $240 million, and with current Fed guidance showing at least another 75 bips increase in the cost of near-term capital, have we truly considered our apparent urgency in continuing this process? With 10 years left on the IGA, have we fully underwritten the financial consequences and explored all reasonable alternatives? For example, we continue to question why the city must be in the wastewater treatment.
I'm so sorry, Eric.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you're out of time.
I am out of
Can
time.
you, yeah.
Go ahead.
Did you email us these
I
comments?
did, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No,
We
it's
gotta
okay.
stop. Okay.
Sorry,
Thank
thanks.
you. No, we appreciate
Bye.
you. Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to give public comment? Okay. Thank you, everyone who came today. We also received emails in addition to the verbal comment here today, and those have been posted on the city website. Okay, we are now going to move on to the consent agenda. It's kind of, we have a few items on this consent agenda. We have removed from the consent agenda item 6.1, so we'll take that up next. We have item 6.2, which is Ordinance 2917, it's an ordinance of the City Council clarifying, revising, and updating various provisions of the Lake Oswego Code other than LOC Chapter 50, 2022. Item 6.3, approval of meeting minutes from the October 4th meeting. Item 6.4 is the declaration of the vote from the 2022 general election. Item 6.5 is Resolution 22-28. We have item 6.6, Resolution 22-38. Item 6.7, Resolution 22-39. Item 6.8, Resolution 22-42. Item 6.9, Resolution 22-43. And item 6.10, resolution 22-46. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Move to move to accept the consent agenda without 6.1.
Second.
All right, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Okay, motion passes 6-0. Items removed from consent agenda, 6.1, we pulled this from the consent agenda to allow the council to review the contract with staff in executive session, which we haven't had a chance to do yet, so we'll bring that back in the future. Okay, and we'll get that scheduled. Moving on to council business, our first item, 8.1 this evening is resolution 22-37. This is the Americans with Disabilities Act Self-Evaluation and Transition Plan. Here to present to us, we have Kelly Bird, our ADA coordinator, along with Erica Rooney, Public Works Director and City Engineer. Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. Thank you for having us. Let me get the first slide here. Good afternoon, Mayor Buck and City Councilors. I'm Kelly Bird, the city's ADA coordinator. I'm joined today with Erica Rooney, Public Works Director and City Engineer. Thank you for having us today. I'm here to recommend that Council adopt Resolution 22-37 to adopt the Lake Oswego's American with Disabilities Act Self-Evaluation and Transition Plan. To give you a little context, the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA, is a civil rights law that requires a public entity to reasonably modify its policies, practices, or procedures to avoid discrimination against people with disabilities. Public entities with 50 or more employees are required to have an ADA self-evaluation and transition plan on file. The plan is intended to be a framework for the continuous improvement of city programs and facilities for people with disabilities. Staff, with the assistance of a consultant, developed the city's ADA transition plan, or self-evaluation and transition plan. The self-evaluation involved a comprehensive review of all the city's policies, programs, and procedures to determine the current level of service and to the extent to which its policies and programs created barriers to accessibility for people with disabilities. We also surveyed city-owned and maintained facilities. These facilities included city parks, buildings, parking lots, and facilities in the public right-of-way, which are sidewalks, curb ramps, and push buttons. The transition plan was developed from the data that was gathered from the self-evaluation and the facility surveys. The transition plan lists the barriers, describes the methods used to make the city more accessible, and provides a schedule for making modifications to improve better access. The ADA Stakeholder Advisory Group was formed in spring of 2020, and it included people with disabilities. The group provided input and feedback at our meeting on March 15th. Some of the feedback from the group included they want us to build, improve, and maintain pedestrian routes in the public right-of-way, budget and address ADA concerns in a timely manner, improve ADA access to all parks, including the natural parks. They requested that park descriptions on the website should include the park address, accessible features, and if there's public access. In honor of the 32nd anniversary of the ADA, we shared our draft ADA transition plan for public review and comment on July 26th through September. The plan was shared on the city website. we also had a very robust social media campaign. Hard copies of the plan were available at City Hall, the library, and the Adult Community Center. We filmed a video that was posted on YouTube, on our website, and all the social media channels. We had articles announcing the public comment period in the Hello Hello and the Lowdown, advertisements in the Hello Review, and finally, we had a survey available for people to share their feedback. 30 participants completed the survey. The majority of the people identified as interested community members or caregivers of folks with disabilities who living in Lake Oswego. The respondents welcomed and supported the plan. The priorities are indicated in this graph, with improvements to sidewalk, curb ramps, and crosswalks being the most desired. Survey responses and feedback are available on the ADA portal on the city's website. The plan sets a 15-year target for barrier removal. It's the city's intent to review all barriers during the first 3 years of plan implementation and address those barriers that can be resolved through programmatic modification and maintenance activities. The city can modify or adjust barrier removal priorities to provide flexibility in accommodating community requests, funding, and changes in city programs. ADA complaints and requests will be prioritized as feasible. This slide includes a table with the estimated range of potential costs in 2020 dollars. For parks, it's 3 to 4 million, buildings, 1.5 to 2.5 million, parking facilities, 40 to 50,000, curb ramps and sidewalks, 20 to 250 million, with a total cost of over 200 million. Real progress can be made when a municipality makes financial commitments to improve access. Staff recommends the city include barrier removal projects as a part of its biannual budgets, either as standalone projects or a part of regularly occurring programs like the street resurfacing program. Staff from various departments will be proposing various improvements from this plan in the next capital improvement plan and budget cycle. This should continue until all barriers are eliminated. At this point in time, staff recommends that council adopt Resolution 22-37 with the Americans with Disabilities Act Self-Evaluation and Transition Plan at today's City Council meeting. What questions do you all have for me?
Thank you, Ms. Bird.
Thank you.
Great presentation and good work, and thank you to you and all the community members who participated on the Stakeholder Advisory Committee and in the community surveys and who've been working really this entire year on this plan.
Yep, yes, thank you.
Councilor Wendland?
I guess my question is, if we have a great report, I think it outlines everything. I love all the illustrations of where we have the opportunity to fix things. My question is, if you're talking almost $265 million in today's terms, and you have a 15-year window that you want to get it done, that's $18 million a year. I think we need to at least have the qualifier statement from somebody to say that what are the requirements that we're obligated under law to fulfill, and how quickly. I think we have to get things on the list and we have to get it done. I'm all for that. But I think we also have to be realistic in how we have the expectations of execution. So maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Thank you, Councilor. Yes, as with all of our needs in city infrastructure, the needs far outweigh the income or the revenue sources. So we prioritize these items, and within the document, it's a 200-page document, a lot of effort was taken to prioritize the work. Curb ramps are prioritized by location, access to important facilities such as City Hall, libraries, other government agencies, high pedestrian zones. So there's a prioritized list here that it's our responsibility, at least this is my understanding of this over the last 4 years, it's our responsibility to have a goal, and we need to make progress towards that. I don't think we're held specifically that at year 15, if we don't reach our goal, we're in trouble, but we do need to be showing progressive movement towards this. And that's the main intent, is that we make this a priority in all the work that we do and include ADA as part of building designs and road designs and things like that. And as long as we're showing that good faith effort and making progress on the list, that is acceptable. I don't believe there's any agencies that have, met their goal. They set it, it moves, it adapts, resources have to be balanced. So our goal for starters is to see how much everybody can kind of incorporate into their next CIP. Obviously, I'll take curb ramps and sidewalks, for example, because that's our forte. There's no way I have $200 or $250 million worth of funds available over the next 15 years probably. But can we do significantly more than we've been doing in the past? And I think the answer is yes. And so we'll be talking about that during the CIP conversation, about bringing this up as a higher priority, putting a little bit more funding towards it, and balancing it with all of our other needs.
Okay, and
And
so.
this was a long-winded answer, I apologize.
No, but I think that puts into context the expectations, and I agree 100% that if you don't get it on the list and you don't have action, nothing ever gets done. And so I think that's valuable. Is there budgetary numbers that we can set aside, or is it, as an example, this building, we have, for the most part, hopefully, Ms. Bird, you didn't find a lot of inadequacies on the ADA spectrum for this building. Please tell me we're good to go, right? For the most part? Good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sort of.
I mean, it's hard to say any building could be 100% compliant in the given time. If they're, if someone puts a trash can or something in the hallway, then you're out of compliance. But yes, City Hall is in good shape.
Right. So in the projects that we're doing, I think we should say that we are doing progress on things. When we do capital projects, we are working towards.
Yes.
And also, I know that many of the street pathway projects that we just funded, I see that we're doing the curbs and the ramps and so on. And so we've chipped away a little bit. So we haven't completely ignored the subject. We just need to be a little bit more thoughtful and aggressive.
I think that part of the issue that this brings up is, and Erica and I think have had a chance to talk about this, we have a lot of policy aspirations for our capital projects, and we probably need to have a conversation about in what cases can we integrate, because in a lot of cases, as you say, we can integrate our ADA goals with our existing capital portfolio, but in what other cases do we need to reprioritize to meet policy objectives that maybe we didn't have 5 or 10 years ago?
Right, and I will say, Ms. Bird, I loved all the, I would call the soft cost applications that you put on that aren't going to cost us necessarily money, but it's more procedure and policy that we put in that we can help. So, great report. Thank you.
Could we talk a little bit about the prioritization strategy? Do we have a prioritization strategy, or is that kind of the next phase?
We do. There is a prioritization strategies for programs, activities, and services, like the programmatic things. We're going to address them when they're presented as the plan recommends. For the public buildings, parks, and parking facilities, we have a prioritization matrix that facilities in which the city provides programs, activities, and services were prioritized based on identified complaints or requests, level of use by the public, proximity to transit facilities, program uniqueness, geographic distribution, citizens' rights and responsibilities, recognize user groups, and planned obsolescence. It's the intent that we're going to remove the barriers to accessibility in public buildings, parks, and parking facilities based on immediate necessity and programmatic access, degree of complexity, and overall cost. And as Erica spoke, in the right-of-way, we're going to be following the federal guidelines, that we're going to remove barriers, that we're going to prioritize locations serving city government offices like City Hall, the library, and then other public facilities, and so on. So if you look at the report, it's pretty detailed, and it's very complex, but there's, charts and graphs, but we are going to be methodical about the approach to removing these barriers.
Okay, that's great.
I can just add to that one little piece too, that is sort of a visual, and if we could do it here today, I would, but for instance, there's several thousand curb ramps identified, and we have a map that has a dot on each of those curb ramps and a color, and they're color coded on high, low, and medium, or high, medium, and low priority. So our roadmap for what is high priority, that prioritization is already set for us, and we will continue to use that and overlay it with the other projects that we are doing to identify how to best tackle those projects overall. So if we're doing a road project, and we're going to try and take care of all of those ADA needs at that time, but we also may need to do some high prioritization somewhere over here as well. So it's a balancing act. You can't do just all the highs. We'll look at some of the low-hanging fruit, the expensive ones, the cheaper locations, things like that. So it's a little bit of, it's always a balancing act with any prioritization. It's never perfect, but we will be looking at all of those overlays of the maps and the information that's provided in the document to help us pick projects and put them in order.
Okay, and then in any project that comes before us, anything the city is looking to complete, will that automatically include the components to complete accessibility requirements, or is there direction that's needed to ensure that as we accomplish projects, they always include the accessibility components? That they're.
So, for example, when we repave a road, we have to do ADA compliance. Period. It's very simple. When we do a water pipeline, not necessarily. So that's the kind of project that wouldn't necessarily trigger ADA.
Are you talking about
Because
buildings,
it's not
though? Are you
applicable?
talking about buildings?
Oh, specific to buildings? Yes, we have to, but for all buildings, that's not a question. Sorry.
Okay.
Pardon me.
New construction has to follow the ADA standards and guidelines.
Okay.
And then if we do alterations, we need to bring that building into compliance if we touch it.
Great. Is there going to be some kind of what's the reporting on this going to look like each year? Should we progress tracking and whatnot?
We'll have an annual report of everything that we've accomplished, and we have some tools that were provided to us to track all of our deficiencies. And I will be meeting on a quarterly basis with staff and discussing it with the management team. How are we doing?
Is the reporting a part of the plan?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the council, we can expect an annual report. Okay, that's great. Yeah, we love reports.
Yeah, we love reports.
We love reports. That's great. Okay, any questions? Would someone want to make a motion?
Move to adopt Resolution 22-37.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion, questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilor Mance, did you vote in the affirmative?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, motion passes 6-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate all your good work.
Thank you. Good work.
Okay, our next item is Resolution 22-32. This is the Natural Areas and Habitat Management Plan. Joining us is Parks Manager Megan Bigjohn, Parks Director Ivan Anderholm, and Noah Herlocker with David Evans and Associates. Welcome to all of you. Let's get Hi.
Thank you.
Great to have you all here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Megan Big John, the Parks Manager, and I'd like to thank the Council and Mayor Joe Buck for having us here today. We are here to present to you the Natural Areas Habitat Management Plan, Resolution 22-32, and asking for your adoption. I'm here presenting with Ivan Anderholm and our contractor, Noah Herlocker, who's a senior ecologist and project manager with David Evans and Associates and is under contract with ACOM. Noah's been really instrumental in getting this plan together. And as part of this plan, we did a lot of outreach, and it was a collaborative effort with some key restoration leaders within our community, which included watershed councils, parks board members, our contractors, city staff, of course, as well as had community outreach with public meetings. Noah's going to take you through our process of how we came up with this plan, and we're really excited to present it to you.
Great.
Okay, great. So with respect to your time, I will try and move through this quickly. It's a year-long process, but by all means, let me know if you have any questions or if you'd like me to elaborate on anything. Really quickly, I just want to go over sort of the goals and the visions behind this plan, an overview of how it was put together and some of the process with stakeholders, a little bit of this summary of that stakeholder engagement and public engagement, and I want to go over an example of how a habitat would be assessed by this plan and how that assessment would inform the management strategies for that particular habitat and condition of habitat. So we wanted to put together an overarching management plan that really focuses on the ecological restoration above all things. So there are several objectives. The plan needs objectives by which it can be organized and measured. But the overriding objective is ecological restoration because that lends to so many of the kind of sub-objectives, whether it be resiliency to changes in climate or overcoming pests and increased recreation. There's all these things that the parks will be better able to be resilient and stay healthy with this type of an action. So that's kind of the overriding goal. The way we went about this is we went through the city and at a high level identified and did an inventory of the habitats, kind of the general habitats that exist throughout the city's natural areas. So we carved each natural area park up into one of several categories, such as deciduous forest or wetland or conifer forest. And then we tried to provide recommendations based on those types of habitats and what kind of threats they face. And in addition to that, we classified their current condition. So yes, it's a conifer forest, but is it a young, degraded forest full of weeds, or is it a very mature forest with healthy big trees? And then we wanted to craft management strategies based on those conditions. So with those in mind, we came up with goals and a goal and then several objectives that informed the way this plan was organized. What are we trying to achieve here? And then we put together recommendations for how to manage those habitats. And this gets at recommendations for each particular type of habitat and its condition, recommendations for each park specifically, and then just general recommendations that apply to all parks and habitats. So there's quite a bit there. And then once we got this together, actually from the beginning, we brought in a large group of stakeholders, which I'll get into in a little bit, but really solicited a lot of feedback, got a lot of really good feedback from a wide diversity of folks working for watershed councils and friends groups and neighborhood associations and the local soil and water conservation district, for example, some invaluable feedback. And that really helped organize the plan and change it for the better. So what we're hoping here is that this provides a framework for how the Parks Department can go about managing and enhancing these natural areas, something that can kind of inform, regardless of the specific park. It provides a framework for how the management and the maintenance of these areas would occur. Ideally, we hope to try and find some efficiencies through the typical planning permitting process. We can talk about that a little bit more, but
you know, this provides kind of an overarching idea for how specific habitats will be managed, and some of those may include removing trees to meet specific objectives, whether they're invasive trees, or in some cases, we need to remove native trees because we're trying to protect a sensitive species that is being outcompeted. And so in those cases where an action would be consistent with the objectives of this plan, we would like to seek an opportunity with the planning department in the future, once this plan is approved, if it's approved, to try and find some efficiencies through that process, just to make it easier on the park staff, I guess, make it easier to implement this plan. We really focused on, I'm going to go ahead and move forward here as I get into this applicable to other sites piece, but we didn't go to, there are several small fragments of sites, including flag lots and other tiny pieces of property that are in the Parks Department's purview to manage as natural areas. We focused on the larger ones, the ones that typically would have a sign out front.